Hey, it's syndicated radio talk show host, author, singer Al Cole, welcoming you to another edition of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. I come from CBS Radio. My shows are nationally syndicated, and I've helped pave the way to treating women, guys too, with the dignity that they deserve. And, I treat people with dignity because they treat me with dignity, too, including, hey, the Apple's iTunes radio network that airs my show. Very dignified network. Apple airs CBS shows and Fox News, NPR, BBC, as well as C-SPAN on their professional unit there. And I'm on the professional unit, too, with People of Distinction. So you can listen to us that way. You can go to my website, listen to my Apple stream through my website, peopleofdistinction.org. And while you're there, check out also my alliances with Ariana Huffington, the HuffPost and Huffington. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to edit this out. My assistant was just telling me something. So I'll edit that out. So check out my alliances with some of the great people that I am aligned with, including Ariana Huffington, the founder of the great Huffington Post, and her Thrive Global Network as well that draws millions. And also, I'm a media consultant, major media, coming from major media with People of Distinction and also with CBS Radio. I help people to make a profit on whatever they're doing with their services and their products when they come to my show. I've helped hundreds of people to develop a great brand of talking with their interviews, and also, not only that, but also professional networking where they can really profit money-wise, from their products, services, and they can become entrepreneurs. That's a very, very important aspect to all of this. And if you want to get involved in any of that stuff, well, you can email me at alcoholic@gmail.com. That's ALCOLEHOLIC@gmail.com. And I really want to thank my CBS radio listeners for coming up with that handle, Alcoholic. Hey, it seems like from day one, my listeners have been saying, Al, we love what you're doing there, brother. In fact, we're hooked on it. We're alcoholics. Coming up, a lady with a great handle, too, and her name is KHANYA CORRIE, and she's calling all the way from South Africa today. We get all around the country, all around the world, and she's going to be talking about her book, A Buried Past. Now, a lot of my listeners are going to say, well, hey, boy, it sounds like a catchy title there. What past is she talking about? And how much was it buried, and why was it buried? All right, now she's going to answer all of these questions in a spiritual way. Yeah. Now, God. When was the last time you thought about God? This goes out to you, my listening audiences. Right now, my audience really does think about God, because we know that People of Distinction means everybody is a person of distinction when they try to put love first in their life. Now, God is love. And whenever we love, well, we're putting God in the front seat, the central part of our lives. See, that's what KHANYA's going to be talking about, too. God is the central part of our lives, and how we can go about putting God in the front seat with us, with love. That's a big part of this. And guess what? We're going to get introduced to some of her ancestors who she has introduced to God as that central portion of their lives, too. That could be going back in time now, people. Could even be past lives. We never know exactly what the guest is going to be talking about, but what the guest is going to be talking about is going to be gripping to you, again, my listening audience. So I want you to stick around, listen to KHANYA as she talks about her wonderful new book, A Buried Past. Now, it's available on Amazon and also Barnes & Noble, and KHANYA can tell you other places where you can order the book as well. And I will say that she was brought to me by a great publishing firm that's called Parchment Global Publishing. They bring me a lot of people. Parchment Global Publishing, one of the best in the publishing world. If you have a book that you want to get out there and move, well, move it with Parchment. ParchmentGlobalPublishing.com. Welcome, KHANYA, to People of Distinction with Al Cole. How are you today?
I'm all right. Thank you, Mr. Cole. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, and it's going to be very edifying to my listeners as well. We're going to be talking about spiritual concerns and your book, A Buried Past. We're going to be talking about your ancestors as well. So I want you to start it out any way that you want to. How did you come to write that book, A Buried Past? And tell us a little bit about your book, A Buried Past.
Well, A Buried Past is an autobiography. I wrote it in the year 2008. I published it in the year 2011. It's all about my spiritual journey of how God is the center of my life and how God introduced ancestors to me in order to serve, protect, and help those who need divine intervention. So I've had clients who came to me and they've paid me for divinity to look into their lives. And I love my job. You mentioned God as love, and I really love my job. I really love what God did, introducing me to ancestors. It has been a great journey. So A Buried Past is like a business, it's for the ancestors. They come together, they put themselves in this book, they say, publish this book, to share with people. So I'm really, really proud of it. It's called A Buried Past because it's a long time ago, and I hope to publish more books after this.
Well, I'm sure you will, because this is a gripping topic here, and it's one that's certainly welcome to people of distinction. And we're going to explore it more and more and more. So how do you make contact with ancestors your way? It's through meditation, or is it through interdimensional travel? Some people do that. What's your method to make contact with these ancestors, KHANYA?
Well, ancestors are the deceased, so they don't need anything to be invoked. They have the power to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So what I have to do is just be ready to listen. They use telepathy. We can mind read each other. I can feel how they feel, and it's really wonderful how they also make an effort to teach me, and I make an effort to understand their presence, not to be afraid at all.
That's right. If there's anything that is the opposite of love, it would probably be fear. With fear, it's very difficult for us to truly concentrate on love in our lives. And so that's a big-time thing you just said. They teach you not to fear, and that's a big aspect there. What else have they taught you, your ancestors?
Well, my ancestors have taught me how to see through interdimensionals, like you said, practicing astral projections, meditations. But the first thing they also taught me was to paint. I love painting, and if you can go to my Instagram handle at KHANYA CORRIE, you can find some of my paintings there. It's a whole new story, again, similar to A Buried Past. And then I share as well how ancestors taught me how to create a prophecy, change a person's life, manifest God's will. And they taught me how to dream and how to see visions, how to see 30 years down the line, how to see 100 years back. And they taught me how to be a very strong traditional healer. That is what I love most about them. I'm such a strong traditional healer. I'm so proud of it, and I love them for it.
Wow. We love the way that you talk, KHANYA. On People of Distinction, we talk a lot about love. Love has always been a big part of my life. I was born that way, and I have wonderful parents who nurtured that, and really a great family, and just fantastic experiences that I've had with people all over the planet. So I can relate to that, and you say it so easily. The love invested in your own heart and soul is just, it's bursting out here, and that is so wonderful. And people, I want you to order this book, A Buried Past, by our guest, KHANYA CORRIE, talking about so many of the real spiritual values that we need to have, that we do have, and we need to be remembered about them. And you can order her book at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and want to turn a few more pages in that too. Now, what you're talking about with relating to your ancestors, introducing your ancestors to your own life and being introduced to a lot of the guidance that they can give you, is that something that is your unique gift, or is that available to anybody, would you think, Kanya?
I think it is available to everyone. I think it's all about you as a particular person. Like you said, people of distinction. It's about personal space that you create and without fear at all, and to experience something new and safe. And I think it requires certain characteristics, I guess, but you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready for it. You have to accept it. That's one thing for sure. It took me a long time to do it. So once I did, I fell in love, I guess.
Ah, look at that. Yeah, falling in love. Falling in love. That's the whole thing about being alive. You know, like when we're first born, that baby falls in love with life and says, "Thank you, life, for inviting me into this beautiful adventure of life." And then if we can keep that love energy going throughout our life, because love is an energy, and transmit it out there to other hearts and souls, we're doing a great favor for our human family development. This is wonderful. Let me ask you another question along that line. When you're talking about ancestors, we're assuming right from the start, because of the word, that they are people who are, quote unquote, older than you, chronologically, according to, Earth standards, that they have been out there for maybe thousands of years, hundreds of years, whatever. Now, what about new ancestors? This is something that I think my listeners might be interested in. In the same way that we're born babies here on Earth, and there could have been a baby born, 70 years ago, who is now a 70-year-old human being that we can learn from. Let's say that we're 20 years old and we're learning from our grandfather or grandmother who is 70. And then when we're 50 years old, maybe there was somebody that was born who is now 25 in our same family that we can learn from. Maybe it's our own son or daughter. So ancestors can work that way as well. Are there always new ancestors that are coming on the scene as well? Maybe even, little children ancestors that we can learn from as well. Is that a possibility?
Well, it is a possibility because at the end of the day, it wasn't really about age. It was about death itself. So that's why I didn't fear anymore, because death has no age.
Yep.
And ancestors are on a daily basis. We are always evolving. We're like a corporation, because we've been together for such a long time. And we always hire new ancestors. We have divisions inside. And it's overwhelming sometimes. But because I have demolished all the fear, like I said, I love what we do. Yep. New ancestors, old ancestors, young ancestors, it really doesn't matter. It's all about facing death on a daily basis without fear.
Well, there you go. And you pinpointed something here that I want my listeners to really understand too. Your ancestors have taught you many, many things. Maybe the biggest thing that you're indicating right now, that we don't have to fear death. Death can actually be maybe a new beginning. And maybe if one accepts reincarnation, that we have gone through death in many life cycles. And even in this life, after we die, we'll go through another life cycle. And maybe we're learning, at least unconsciously, each time we go through another life cycle. Is that what you're talking about primarily? Not to fear death. And tell us not only what the ancestors have done to help you not fear death, but what do you think is going to happen after death? maybe particularly to put it on you right now, after your body, your temporal body here passes, where do you think it's going to go? What do you think is going to happen to you after death?
I believe I'll become one of the greatest ancestors because I have mastered a certain level of understanding. I feel like I'm going to help so much when I'm on the other side as well, as much as I help on this side. And when you talked about reincarnation, when you go into A Buried Past, the book that I wrote, although I published it under KHANYA CORRIE, it talks about name changing when you talk about reincarnation, and it's similar to something that I investigate in this book. And if you go deep in it, it talks about changing your name so that you can change your legacy, so that you can change bloodline, so you can change reincarnation. Mm-hmm. Because if you can see reincarnation, you can change it if you don't really want it to happen to you, you know? But for me, I sort of accepted it. If you read in the first chapter, it tells you a possession by a particular ancestor, but only to help. Once they're done with their possession, they go away. Reincarnation is totally different. Mm-hmm. So I had to go through a name change, hence the book, A Buried Past, you know, the name that I was born with. I had to change it to KHANYA. And then I wrote like another 50 books after publishing this one, talking again about a name change and something about reincarnation. I had to change my surname, hence KHANYA CORRIE. But if you find the book, it's A Buried Past of KHANYA CORRIE. Mm-hmm. So after I die, I believe I'll become a very strong and powerful ancestor, because I feel like with goodness inside, you know, you can change so much without anybody even noticing, and then just spread that energy, that wonder, that whimsy, you know. I'm looking forward to it, I guess. I'm not fearing it anymore.
Yes, isn't that beautiful? And hey, people, make a note of what KHANYA said, and I love this, the way that she said it. She'll become one of the greatest ancestors out there. All right. Now, you got to believe it when you hear it from her. We love that, and we're honored. You know, people, you're listening to one of the great ancestors. We could say futuristically right now. She's learned from great ancestors. This is, I love it. KHANYA, boy, A Buried Past. This is a wonderful book, and the way that you're expressing it is so deep, and at the same time, so easy, so approachable, with love and cheerfulness. It's really great. So we're going to cap off the show right now with some possibility thinking. I end all of my shows with possibility thinking in ways that we encapsulate both the information and particularly the spirit, the information, the inspiration and spirit of any interview I do in terms of what if. Whatever my guest was talking about in positive terms, what if everybody underwent that? Into our human family evolution, what kind of world would that look like that it doesn't look like now? If everybody died to become an ancestor, and we knew that in the same way that you know it, that would make a tremendous difference in the world that we live in, and particularly our societal institutions. I would assume that we would conduct life differently. When a baby is born, we would not only celebrate that baby at the time of birth and, you know, when the baby's an infant and everything, but all through life we'd be saying, you are one of our ancestors. You are somebody that we can connect with now for wisdom, but also particularly after death. We don't have to fear death anymore. We're learning from our ancestors, the people in front of us right now that we're learning from, in terms of where they're going to be after death as well. And they might be some of the great ancestors after death. It would release us from the fear of death. How do you see that in terms of our human family, not just in terms of your life, but everybody's life? Does everybody become an ancestor after death? Can we evolve into that beautiful pathway of that society futuristically that will honor love as institutionals and ancestors as the not only the living right now, but also the future dead who will be living in another realm. What kind of world would that look like if we actually believed that and constructed our societies on that?
Well, I believe that it can create better countries because now, because my craft has evolved so much, I can proudly say from next year onwards, I want to start a political party and I want to be the first female president of our country because I want to take that energy before I become a great ancestor and spread it around and spread all this healing because I think there's so much great potential that people don't know. You know, as South Africans or as Africans, we think we know about ancestors and we know nothing. And that's why somewhere we fail somewhere. And I believe that if I can manifest my energy, only for goodwill, and I can help a lot of people because, I started off with my art, which is, again, on Instagram at KHANYA CORRIE, and to raise funds for this newfound energy because I want to spread it to the people. And I feel like people need it, and people should celebrate it. And I feel like it's time for me to open my heart because since I'm going to become a great ancestor, I might as well just do it now. Hence, a buried past is so relevant.
We love that. And, does everybody become an ancestor after death? I know my listeners would want to find that out from you. In your opinion, does everybody become an ancestor after death as well?
Because I think as an ancestor, you got to have certain abilities and a service in a way and say, as an ancestor, I'm going to help the living through certain unknowns. I'm going to make it my motto, my oath, to be there to channel new energy. So it is, like I said before, if you're ready for it, if you want it, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all up to your own individual decision, really. So Everybody can become an ancestor.
Right.
Everybody's gifted.
That's right.
Yeah, it's only by choice to walk the path.
Yes, but you're indicating that not everybody does become an ancestor. After death, are there ways to work oneself up to being an ancestor as far as you understand?
Well, I would say, number one, get rid of the fear. Whatever fear, look for it, find it, get it out of your life as much as possible. If you don't know what it is, look deep and find the fear. Once you get rid of the fear, right, then you're not afraid to become an ancestor. You take on that role automatically. It becomes you, you become it, you become one. So anybody can become an ancestor. Not everybody becomes an ancestor.
Right. I get it. And I'm going to cap off the show with a couple of cents of my own, underscoring the great sense of our guest. Now, understand this, people. This goes out to you. Getting back to that beautiful baby that you were at one point and still are. When you breathe in life, you are breathing in the innocence of love. You proved it to yourself just by being born at all. And that baby that was you, when you were first born, came out and said, wow, I'm here. I actually made it. I'm actually alive. That's the greatest blessing in the world, people. And you put on those love-colored glasses at that point. You looked around and said, life, teach me more about love. As you're learning about love, you have to understand, not only is love within, I think we all understand that. Love is within us. But also love is outside of us, too. And the inside and the outside meet in that beautiful relationship that we call life itself. Life is the inner mirror of the outer. The outer is the mirror of the inner at the same time. And if you cherish other human beings for their life, the life that they were born into, just like you, as a baby, and you look at them with love-colored glasses, no matter who they are, no matter what they're doing, don't look at the circumstance. Don't look particularly first at the body. Look at the beautiful soul. The soul is really the determination of love. And as you visualize the soul within you, that is within them, at the same time, that beautiful repository of love that was the endowment of all babies. Now, a smile comes over your face, and you say, I know you. Even if this world tells me that I don't, even if you live in another county and I've never met you, or even if you live in another country and I've never met you, or even if you live someplace and I have met you but I don't like you, still, I love you. Why? Because you are the mirror image of God, the God that created us both in the beautiful love light of its creation, of life itself. And as we know that, we truly are wise human beings. And the greatest wisdom of all is to love those who also love you. And how can we lose? The people will love us because we love the God that got us here in the first place, both of us. And so we're loving really the mirror image, outside, inside, that was given to us by God itself. And that's a big part of People of Distinction with Al Cole. And we love that. And it's a big part of KHANYA, too, and all of the things that she's doing with her life, and particularly her book, A Buried Past, available to you on Amazon, also Barnes & Noble. And one more time, she was brought to me by Parchment Global Publishing, one of the best in the publishing world. You got to run to parchmentglobalpublishing.com. Thank you so much, KHANYA, for being my special guest here today on People of Distinction with Al Cole. It's been my pleasure, and we wish you all the very best in everything that you do.
Thank you so much. Oh, wonderful.
Well, have a wonderful, wonderful evening and a great day tomorrow as well. Thank you so much, KHANYA.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cole.